Hello and welcome to this TBI Fireside Chat. My name is Richard Middleton, I'm editor of TBI, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Ian McKee, CEO at Rights Marketplace Vuulr, and Craig Adams, President and CTO at Publisher Arts. Hi guys, how are you?
Great, how are you today?
Great, thanks.
Good, thank you. We've got plenty to get through. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes. We've got a fascinating discussion ahead of us. Before we get started and really stuck in, let's just have a little overview of what Vuulr and Publisher Arts do. Ian, first of all, we've all been stuck at home in using online marketplaces such as yours. Tell us a little bit just about Vuulr, just for people who might not know.
So Vuulr is a B2B business, and we're an online content marketplace for premium film and TV content. Fully launched about 18 months ago. We're now the largest in the industry with more than 140,000 hours of content from about 10,000 registered, vetted and approved buyers and sellers. And we're enabling more than 1,500 licensing deals so far since launch. So we think that online licensing of content is something that's going to become more and more important in the future.
Great stuff. And Craig, you're over in Salt Lake City, I believe, out in the States. Tell us what Publisher Arts do, and then we'll dive into the conversation proper.
That's right. We're in Salt Lake City, Utah. Publisher Arts we're media scientists, and you'll find us playing wherever big data science meets streaming entertainment. Our favorite work is helping organizations access external data sources and share data amongst each other.
Great stuff. As I say, we've got a fascinating discussion ahead of us. This is basically, we're going to talk about the Real Price Index, which is, well, it's part of a larger project called the Content Economics Initiative, which Vuulr is working with Publisher Arts. Ian, introduce us a little bit, if you can, to the Content Economics Initiative and also the Real Price Index and how that fits into it.
Yes, thanks, Richard. As a marketplace, we can see the interactions between buyers and sellers. And one of the things that we see as a global trend is a more and more international trade in content. Many of the best things that we watch these days now come with subtitles because they come from other parts of the world. And what we see is that people are often trading, meaning buying and selling, across country pairs that perhaps they're not so familiar with. And obviously this is a good thing because this means that they're generating more revenue from licensing their content to parts of the world that they wouldn't otherwise reach. But that also creates some questions about what is the right price for my piece of content when I'm selling to a part of the world that I've never sold before. So Content Economics Initiative is really an open collaborative. And we're starting off with Vuulr and Publisher Arts, but it's an open invitation for anybody and everybody to come and participate. And what we're trying to do is to address some of these bigger questions for the industry in various initiatives to research and share data. So the Real Price Index is specifically about an index to compare value from one country to another. It's not about setting an absolute value, it's about comparative value. Craig, would you like to explain it a bit more?
Sure. Many of us are familiar with the Big Mac Index that helped economists figure out what the relative value of currency was in different parts of the world using a very simple index. And the Real Price Index is similar to that. If I know that a rights package can sell for a certain amount in the United States, using a simple index, I might be able to know at least roughly how much that same rights package might sell for in France, for example. And so this is a simple, on the surface, simple way to help us get grounded in the value of a rights package.
Great stuff. And obviously you guys are working together on this. So Craig, tell us what you're doing and perhaps tell us about some of the information that's been collected and how that's going to be used to create this index.
Of course, yes. This is something we're working on together. And at Publisher Arts, we're big fans of the industry working together and organizations sharing data back and forth, because that really enriches digital transformation and analytics. Some of the data that we're only gathering very minimal information, which is if you are a buyer or a seller and you happen to be familiar with a certain pair of countries or a certain set of countries, if this rights package sold for a certain amount in the United States, tell us what you think it would sell for in the UK, for example. And that's really the information we're gathering. We are launching a little survey, and we will ask just the basic information. Are you typically a buyer or a seller? And what regions of the world are you interested in? We're not interested in this survey to gather lots of detailed private information. That's not what this is about. This is how much would a Big Mac cost in your country, basically. And we'll use that to get enough data points that we can then create a very simple index, a very simple country pair index.
Great stuff. And Ian, obviously you guys have deep relationships with hundreds, thousands of buyers around the world, and on the distribution side as well. How are you contributing to this work?
So we're obviously going out to our community of registered buyers and sellers around the world, plus the people who have interacted with us. And we're inviting them to participate. And as Craig mentioned, participating should take a minute or two, no more. And we don't need any private information. And we don't need, we're not asking you to tell us what you have paid for content. We're just asking you to compare, and if the price was this in this country, what would it be in another country? And by asking 5 questions for 5 different types of packages, but doing that many hundreds or potentially thousands of times with people all around the world, we can actually pull together this index of pricing between countries. So it's really about getting lots and lots of people to participate. And in the initiative, there's also the opportunity for you to opt in to collaborate, and also the opportunity for you to share the invitation with friends and colleagues who are relevant, so that we can get as many people through and as many data points as possible. And then we'll be analyzing that and releasing the information.
Sounds fascinating. In terms of genres and the types of packages we're looking at, I mean, what is this a cross-genre project? Are we looking at scripted, factual, unscripted, the whole gamut?
We're looking at it at a level of simplification. So, phase 1 of this assumes that the relative price between 2 countries is the same, whether it's a feature film or a TV series, whether it's a piece of factual or a piece of children's content. Obviously, that later on, when we have the baseline data, we might start drilling down. For just at the moment, we're just taking a very simple, broad brush view.
Right. Our team is very excited to maybe tease out some of those details, and then start coming up with new questions of, well, what happens if we look at children's content versus other drama or other genres? And I think
sorry, Craig. I think the really interesting thing is that we will be asking both buyers and sellers. Mm-hmm. So when we slice the data and we look at the price comparison between what the buyers think and what the sellers think, it'll be interesting to see what the gap is.
It will indeed. And in terms of countries, Craig, I mean, we're looking that this is very much a global project, as I understand it, that Vuulr's working on with you guys.
That is correct. And that's an interesting challenge that we have. There are so many countries that from a statistical perspective, we would need an enormous amount of participation. So we're limiting ourselves initially to primary markets, but all over the world. We really hope that we can get enough excitement around this initiative that we can then start expanding to the smaller regions, smaller countries. That is our ultimate goal. The entire real price index in itself is an experiment to see if we as an industry can cooperate, can jump together and share information, share our expertise, and help each other out.
And Ian, as you say, I mean, the amount of data that hopefully you'll get, and the ways you can slice and dice that in different fashions will be fascinating. Certainly from my point of view as an editor on this industry, it'll be very interesting to see what comes out. I mean, talk to us about how the results will be used. how are you going to use the results, Ian?
So once publisher arts, because they're the experts in analyzing the data, look at it and draw out the insights, then we'll be doing a few things. I think we're going to be back on with you, Richard, to kind of do an announcement about what we've found. I think that'll make some fascinating information. We will also be then building the access to that index into the Vuulr marketplace, so that as a buyer or a seller, you're going to have access to a very simple little tool. And the idea is just to signpost a direction in terms of pricing, so that you can more confidently know whether an offer is reasonable or not, or what you should be offering if you're a buyer. And then Craig and the Publisher Arts team, along with Vuulr, will be producing other tools to support people with the sort of business transactions they need to make.
Right. Everyone who participates in the initiative, they will be the owners of any data we collect. And as an initiative, we anticipate creating a series of little widgets, little calculators that could be embedded into websites, or could be accessed at a moment's notice to find a benchmark rights package comparison, for example. But this data is owned by all of the people who will participate in the initiative.
And so effectively, yeah, you'll be able to type in a number at one end and see the comparisons around the world at the other. That's the very...
Exactly. So the first output will be a little calculator that says, well, what's your benchmark country? What's the benchmark rights value? What's your target country? And out pops, well, then here's the expected value in the target country.
So, yeah, fascinating initiative, certainly. And in terms of sort of how you see this progressing in, as you said, we sort of touched on, this is the first part of probably a series of projects, but the real price index, this is where you're sort of kicking it all off. This is the start of it all, is it?
Yes, that's right. So it's this index that allows you to make that kind of like almost like cross-rate translation table. But the value of content is a big, hairy problem and question. And, we see lots of other similar type of exercises, so that we can really help with tools and direction setters and assistance, really, to reduce the friction in the market, so that people can transact and buyers and sellers can, start on the same page in their negotiation, rather than completely miles and miles and miles apart.
Right.
It is exciting to see content be available in regions of the world that were previously inaccessible with streaming entertainment, with streaming platforms. But old-fashioned ways of buying and selling media, buying and selling asset packages, just isn't going to work in regions where you've never set foot. Yeah. So this is an exciting opportunity.
It is certainly, yeah. I mean, as we say, the data that comes out of this will be fascinating to slice and dice. In terms of sort of how people can get involved and where where we need people to sort of offer their assistance. Ian, tell us who you would like to get involved. Let us know how people can become part of this project.
So the URL is the Content Economics Initiative. I think it'll be on the TBI site next to this article. Click the link and go through the few questions, and then share that with your colleagues, please.
And then Craig, in terms of sort of people that we're after and the information that we're after, just again, if you can, just briefly run us through the sort of target people that we're looking for here.
Of course, initially the real price index will attract individuals who have that knowledge of buying and selling media. But we're also very interested in having lots of industry partners join the initiative and help us formulate ideas of what comes next and how we share data back and forth in appropriate ways and useful ways for any streaming entertainment organization, any organization that deals in entertainment rights.
Great stuff. Excellent. Well, yeah, fascinating to hear about the project. I think that's probably just about all we've got time for. Very much looking forward to seeing what comes out the other end. As Ian and Craig said, there should be links. You'll be able to see them to the side of this page or below. click on the link. Please do take part and be a part of the project. Ian and Craig, we look forward to having you back, hopefully fairly soon, and we can talk about some of the findings that come out at the other end of this fascinating initiative.
Yep.
Great. Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing you again.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.